Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look at Bitcoin, see what's going on. If you're not currently a member, consider joining. Link in the description below, CryptoCache.tech. I actually provide you with signals and, of course, Trading Academy and community. Amazing experience. I make these videos most specifically for my community as well as my subscribers. So thank you all so much for joining me here. Now taking a look at Bitcoin. Simply put, we are at this second Doji candle. Now that can oftentimes signal a reversal, but this Doji candle hasn't finished yet. There's still plenty of hours left in the day before everyone in the Eastern Hemisphere is able to start trading, as well as, of course, tomorrow morning we're looking forward to that open, see kind of what is going to happen next. But for lack of better terms, we got pretty much almost two Doji candles here in a row, and in most cases, when you see a double Doji, for example, it does signal a reversal. We saw that there, and of course, we saw it a few times in the past as well, when we had these double Doji type of patterns forming, and the price would continue to essentially decrease from there. Okay, so that's ultimately what we're looking at. In the general sense of things here, it is not fantastic, but it's also not necessarily 100% either, right? These are just kind of, the odds are increased if you see X, Y, and Z. That's kind of the whole point of patterns and trends. They don't always have to repeat themselves, but they oftentimes do. All right, so again, double Doji pattern isn't necessarily the greatest, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's terrible either. We hopefully, if the price were to essentially continue to progress downwards, we could see a bounce off of right around maybe 38,000, but we want nothing lower than 37,000 because that's the most recent low here that we need to focus on and understand. If we get a price point below there, it could be trending much lower from there, right? But for right now, we can celebrate the fact that on a smaller time frames, we have higher highs and higher lows, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. So taking a look here at the RSI, still stuck under 50, kind of working as a resistance shelf there, right around 39,500. So 39.5 is essentially the place in which the price cannot seem to pass. Okay. Now it has wicked up to 40,200 and 40,000 as well, but generally speaking, 39,500 seems to be a key level resistance, and 37,000 is a nice key level support. So I do feel like we're going to still trend within that range for a little while, but we'll see obviously what happens next. Looking here at the MACD, we got a potential convergence, but nothing really forming there. It's kind of, I wouldn't say drawing dead, but just going sideways. And that's not really ideal for a convergence, of course, because you never truly know what will happen next. And in this regard here, looking at the 4-hour chart, we're up over the 50 and under the 200. So we're kind of just staying in the same little channel, the same little zone here, unable to break free from both moving averages. So it's not, again, not terrible, but not great. So I mean, pretty much the whole scenario right now that we're looking at is kind of fair to middling. It's not a significant impact, but it's also not adverse as well. We're kind of just going sideways here and waiting for the trend to either continue or to digress. What could happen, and this wouldn't be a terrible thing either, is the price could come down to just say 37,000 and get a nice bounce for a leg up and continue on upwards. There is also a strong chance the price could continue to progress as well, because we've seen it test this resistance level at 39,500 multiple days and hours in a row. That is a good sign that tells us in the big picture that we're looking at trending upwards more so than trending down. But again, history repeats itself. Oftentimes when we see double Doji patterns, they reverse because one Doji is essentially a signal of indecision. Two Dojis typically signals that it cannot pass that specific price point and is having trouble and it's struggling and it needs to come back down. All right. So again, there's a possibility of that, but just keep in mind as well, we have lower volume here based on this being a weekend, and it's just kind of drawing dead, for lack of a better term. So again, not good, not bad. That's kind of the common theme here today. Looking at the RSI, we're still up over 50. That is positive, of course, but that doesn't necessarily help us understand which direction it's going to trend, but just kind of reaffirm the fact that 50 on the RSI on the moving average is effectively working as a nice support level concurrent with the RSI. So those two things usually typically work together, and I like to see that. So that's ultimately a good sign there. We also have a MACD potential divergence on the 4-hour, but it still hasn't come to fruition. It could just go sideways, we could get a bounce, and it could go up further. So ultimately, that doesn't really tell us much either. Let's see if the 1-hour kind of gives us an indication of a turnaround. I'm speculating not, based on the simple fact that it's just going straight sideways. We are hitting resets though around, well, there's a couple of 8s here. So if we look previous, comes up to a 6 and comes all the way down to an 8. We got to reset up to a 6 and then down to a 6, then back up to an 8. So it is fairly sporadic, but there is consistency there in the sense of the fact that these runs typically happen for 6 to 8 hours at a time. So in that sense, if we're at a 5 right now on a potential downtrend, hypothetically we should see a turnaround for a potential higher low, right? And then another potential higher high. So at this point, the 1 hour does look decent, but I can tell you if we look at the Ichimoku cloud, it's going to be pretty ugly. There's not a lot here telling us that we want to take a position, except for the fact that we are still trending above and close to, you know, the cloud. I mean, we are within the cloud, which isn't great, but being closer to the top and not having broken to the bottom is also increasingly important. So a couple of scenarios could fold out here today. We could very well see the price action once again continue to increase and go on its merry way. Or, again, history has a tendency of repeating itself, but it doesn't always have to. When we see these double doji type of patterns, it's usually signaling a reversal. So I just want you to be kind of prepared here. We're having trouble passing the price point of 39,500. The likelihood of it going down, I feel, is slightly higher than it going up right now. And this really just kind of helping us understand, you know, that hey, we're struggling at this price point. There is not enough volume to pass this point. So everyone, basically what's happening is the bears and the bulls all feel that this is either too high or too low of a value. They're trying to buy, trying to sell. And when that happens for too long, one of the two sides concedes and gives way to the other. And that's what we're going to see happen here soon. So it could very well be as strong as a push to the upside, or of course a sell-off to the downside. I know that's not very, you know, descriptive or helpful, but I would say more likely than not we'll see a push to the downside if we get this candlestick to close where it's at right now. Because again, a double doji typically is a signal for a reversal. Okay, so you know that's kind of where we're at there. It does look like Bitcoin's, you know, weakening and not really having a lot of momentum. And obviously, this being a weekend, it's hard to kind of tell sometimes. So just know that this is not terrible, but we are getting rejected by the 50-day set moving average. It's happened almost 2 days in a row now. That's another thing to also, you know, kind of acknowledge. I didn't touch on that earlier, but I see that now, and it's something that we just got to kind of be mindful of. So again, taking a full-on long position, right? Adding everything you've got into Bitcoin right now may not be the best bet. Again, it depends on the overall position, what type of trader you are, right? If you're a dollar cost average trader, good for you. That is what I'd recommend doing right now by just adding small amounts to your portfolio at a time. Because once again, 39,000 is going to be a great value when the price is upwards 50 or 60,000 again. We're going to wish we had added to our position then. So don't hesitate to go ahead and continue to add to your portfolio. But of course, just be prepared for the fact that we might experience a pullback here, more specifically later today and or early tomorrow when the market opens. It really just depends too as well what the market's doing. It's too early right now to identify because futures trading are closed. We may get a gap up or a gap down, and that could help us understand if that needs to be filled soon. There's a few factors we can look at later in the week, but for right now, we're kind of drawing dead, and we're not having a lot of amplitude going into the trading week, and that is not fantastic. But once again, it's not terrible either. Okay, so I know I'm speaking in circles, and I sincerely apologize for that. Just trying to shoot you straight here that we kind of have this state of indecision. That's what doji candles kind of do for you. They don't really tell you which direction it wants to head, but again, you see two days of indecision. That's kind of a sign that the bulls have lost that control and there's a potential downshift coming. So just know that that is more likely than not. Once again, we could very well see a test of 40,000/39.5 once more, and then the price comes back down. That's probably a stronger likelihood here than it is to just shoot straight up. I hope I'm wrong. Believe me, trust me, I really want Bitcoin to do well and flourish and have all of our altcoins do excellent, but I don't think we're quite there yet. We need more volume, we need more sideways action, and we really just need the trading week to start in order to really truly identify what the direction is here. So I hope you found some benefit here, of course. Thanks again for joining me here. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.